When we speak of animals that God uses to get our attention, some of them actually spoke to men. One of them crowed. Another one swallowed a man whole. Some of them came to bring God's judgment upon his people. Good morning. This is Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisseton, Illinois, with your thoughts for Tuesday. You know, God used great men of God as prophets in the Old Testament, who not only brought about his word to his people, also they brought about healings and miracles, oftentimes from the Lord. Elisha was such a prophet. He followed after Elijah when he was taken up into heaven with horses and a chariot of fire before Elisha's eyes. So where Elisha was ministering at Jericho, they told him that the water was poisonous, that the ground was barren because of it. So he came out and used some salt and prayed to the Lord, cleansed the water for all the people there. And while he was leaving there and heading to Bethel, some young people came out of the city to mock him. In 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 23, it says, "Then he went up from there to Bethel, and as he was going up the road, some youths came out from the city and mocked him and said to him, 'Go up, you bald head. Go up, you bald head.' So he turned around and looked at them and pronounced a curse on them in the name of the Lord. And 2 female bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of these young people." We know how seriously God takes his word to us and how he protects his servants, those who carried his word to his people also. These young people may have just been children, more probably some teens who were rebellious against God. And of course, it makes me wonder what their parents had taught them, because now they're rebellious against this prophet too. You know, when I read this account, I see a family that teaches rebellion through their influence, perhaps even through their words. But certainly there's no respect for their elders being taught, and no respect for God either. They had apparently heard of Elijah's homegoing in that whirlwind, and now they're taunting Elisha for it, saying to him, "You should go up, you bald head." And as perhaps they didn't believe it, or perhaps they were taught this rebellion by their parents, they taunted Elisha until finally Elisha turns and pronounces a curse on them in the name of the Lord for these young people. And God immediately sent out 2 female bears from the woods and attacked and mauled 42 of these young people. Now, we cannot blame this attack on Elisha, since he was only upholding God's name. But God uses these bears to deal with their rebellion, to show that he takes rebellion seriously. And whomever we influence with it will also be paying that kind of price. It sounded like a dreadful experience. But I'm sure these families and even other children learned a valuable lesson not to taunt God, or his servants for that matter. Is there any hint of rebellion today in our hearts and our minds? Perhaps there's a rebellion against God's direction for us, or against his word and what it tells us about how we should live. You know, we need to take seriously what God says to us and be willing to follow it, to submit our lives to him and obey him, even honoring him, not rebelling against him, but giving him glory and praise, and most of all, living our lives as he has called us to do.